I'm sure he's not.
Always be a gentleman. Spend your koto anyplace, anytime, anywhere. Boundless pay. Beyond banking.
All right, so you're welcome to Money Monday once again. It's been a while. It's been more than couple of months since we had the last Money Monday, and we decided to restructure everything to ensure that we have a refreshing content each time we go live, and of course have professionals, global professionals, on set with us on each of the Money Monday sessions we have moving forward. So if you can hear me, we are currently live on YouTube. Those who stream on YouTube, you can keep your comments. It's open. Would always respond immediately. We see your comments. And those who are here, feel free to drop your comments on the chat box as soon as you if you do, we will respond to them. If you have any question, all the questions will be collected towards the end of the session and will be responded to. And remember, Grind is a community of, financially, should I say, people who are interested in getting their financial, IQ as high as possible and to change their financial stories, through the lessons that you learn from what we have here. So today we have REZA in the building. Mr. REZA, good afternoon.
See you again, Frank. Thank you so much for the invitation. How are you doing?
Good. I'm good.
It's lovely to be with you guys. How's everything?
Awesome. I can see behind you BTC. And,
yes, this OTC exchange. Right now I'm in an OTC exchange in an OTC office, and I'm in the office of an OTC exchange. In here, people walk in, they change any sort of cryptocurrencies into cash, vice versa. So they can actually do anything regarding liquidity and anything regarding transferring cash, anything.
Awesome. That brings me to the topic of today's Money Monday session. And before we proceed, I can only see a couple of persons on the chat box. So if you are here and you're active, I want you to say something on the chat box so that we can be sure we have everybody's attention. So today we'll be talking about rethinking the concept of money. And beautifully, we were in a dinner day before yesterday, 3 days ago, and we were, the topic came up. We started talking about money, and what's your take? When we talk about rethinking the concept of money, first of all, I'd like for us to go back a little bit on what money is and what do you, if in a layman's understanding, what is money?
Very good. Basically, thank you so much, first of all, for the invitation. Is anyone wants to talk, or if there's anything? Because somebody raised hands. I don't know.
No, we are going to.
Is it okay? I should continue?
Just proceed here.
Cool. So you see, the concept of money is something that we don't understand. It's something that in this era that we are living, we quite pass by and we don't care what is money. We don't have any definition. We just know we can spend it. We are not quite sure on what is going on and what we can do with it. Okay. So not very common. I never seen people that are actually very familiar with the concept of money. And basically, something interesting came across my mind, and I've done a bit of research. So we have two different definitions. We have something called money, and we have something called currency. So can you define the differences, Frank, between these two? What is currency and what is money?
Okay. Currency is a means of exchange within countries and geographical locations. Like Nigeria has Naira as their currency, US dollars is for the US and all that. Money is value, right? Money is not paper, money is not gold, money is value. So you can exchange value for another value. Whatever you are able to exchange for another value is termed as money.
Very good. But let me make it more obvious for you. If we give a factor of time to it, anything that actually decreases in value in time, it loses in value, is called currency. So if you have anything in hand, that let's talk about US dollar, let's talk about euros. So euro has lost 100 times its power within the past 40, 50 years. So if we go back, we check the graph of the power of this money, all we can see is the power, the value of these currencies are actually dropping by. And nobody knows why. I mean, most of the people don't know why, but if I want to give you a very, very basic definition, is because there are a lot of banks, a lot of central banks that are actually printing money whenever they need it. So look at euro, for example. If we want to talk about euro, we are basically having these people in Germany. I mean, I'm talking about World War II, that Hitler wanted to, he couldn't pay for the war, so he had to print more and more money. And now we have a lot of euros, and this generation is in charge of paying those interests. When I say interest, means the value is dropping, then we will see inflation. So there is no backbone for fiat currencies. And to be honest, we are losing. I mean, banking system is actually losing, and we need a new system. We need something come along. In the other hand, we have a concept called money. So whatever goes high in value in time, when I say whatever goes high in value, I mean, I'm talking about property, I'm talking about gold, I'm talking about any sort of assets that grows, like stocks. That's also considered to be money, because you are basically creating something. Within these two categories, if you want to categorize, for example, cryptocurrencies, specifically Bitcoin would be considered as money, because it's actually a device, or it's a tool to store value. It's not something that I can basically, I can just say, okay, I'm using this for transaction. It was made for a small transactions. If you go back to and read Bitcoin white paper, it has been mentioned that Bitcoin being produced for small transactions. But now we are very far from that. We are not actually very close to what Bitcoin vision was. We are very far from that. But Bitcoin tend to become more kind of a, not sort of currency, it's sort of an asset, it's sort of money. You're getting my, is my voice clear? Because someone said my voice is not clear.
I think if you can hear me, if you can hear him clearly, I want you to say on the chat box, so we can know who, you know, if the problem is from his own system, because I can hear you very perfectly,
Okay, cool.
It's clear. So I think the issue is from his own side.
No problem. So this is the difference between money and currency. Now we have a definition. Now we know where we are standing in this world and what we can do. But financially, if I want to tell you how these things are actually placed and how we are actually working in this madness world, I can say that we need something that actually takes out the control of other people from our way of finance. So for example, when we talk about finance, I'm talking about lending system, I'm talking about investments, I'm talking about way of transactions, I'm talking about any sort of services that you need financially. So when we're talking about this, guys, I think you need to turn off your microphone. Yeah, thank you. So
go ahead.
It's okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, so we need something that actually stands out and becomes the money of few use in terms of value, in terms of control, in terms of scalability, and in terms of basically transparency, which you cannot find it in for the traditional financial model. But now with cryptos, we all have those. We have transparency, which is up to the maximum. Depends actually. We have different coins that they are transparent. Some of them are not transparent at all. They are basically providing anonymity. It depends on what sort of usage we want to go through.
Okay. Okay. So we just talked about the concept of money. And Reza simply in a different light differentiated currency from money. And in a very simple manner, money is anything that increases in value with time. Currency
Exactly.
is anything that decreases in value in time. And very simple, every country have their own currency: naira, dollar, pounds, euros. And just like he explained, in euros, over the last 100 years, the euro has decreased in value over how many percent? 100 times, 100%, right?
It actually, it's funny, but it decreased its power by 100 times. So if you
Over
check,
100 times. Okay. So,
yes.
so
If I want to give you a practical example, just
yeah,
you don't need to go 40, 50 years back. Just
yeah,
consider your childhood. So for example, when we were 10 or even 7,
yeah.
8 years old.
Mhm.
So if you consider this age, if you had 100,000 euros, you could do much more things than.
You're mute. You're muted. We can't
Oh,
hear
I'm
you.
sorry.
Yeah.
We cannot do as much as we used to be able to do. Nowadays, we can only do much less than what actually used to be able to do with that money.
Exactly, exactly. And I don't think this is alien to anybody in this call. Most people on this call right now have practically seen inflation happen within the last in Nigeria. We used to exchange US dollars for naira at the rate of 360 naira per dollar. Today, it's sitting at 570 naira per dollar. That's almost
Wow.
100% in 1 year, right? And if I should calculate backwards to 10 years ago, I remember it was somewhere around 80 naira per dollar in 2008. So that means it's done more than 400 times, you know, depreciation in the last 10 years, right? And people get used to these things because, every day people wake up, they see the new exchange rates, they don't care because, the main thing is they're able to feed themselves, they're able to, go about their businesses. But the truth is that people keep getting poorer and poorer as these things happen. And there's something you said that also needs to be pointed out. Each time these things happen, a debt is being created for the next generation, right? Because the next generation gets to pay for these insane situations, and which is caused by the government, the central institutions that keep printing money. And so this is it, right? It's a big situation. And like we said in the last, as I said, I told you something. I said that money has evolved over time. It has evolved over time. It's gone from trade by barter. It's moved to the gold era. It's moved to the digital era, the fiat era, and today we are talking about cryptocurrencies. How does cryptocurrencies come in? How does it save the situation?
Very good question. That's basically the main concept. So there are three factors when we basically talk about currency or we talk about money. We are talking about three main criteria. One is basically acceptance. It means people accept something. For example, the notes that we are using, let's say US dollar, euro, or naira, or any other sort of currencies that are out there, we accepted it as a currency. We accepted it as a form of transaction. So it comes down to the second title or second characteristics. The second one is medium of exchange. It means we can actually use it in order to buy goods. Which the most important one is this sort of money must be limited. So for example, let's just put this last one into example. If you're talking about cash, if you're talking about US dollar, what is the limitation? Where is the limit? Where are we standing at? Within the past 6 months, over 40% of the circulation of US dollar, over 40% of USD circulation been printed within the past 6 months. Okay. And doesn't matter where this money goes, Doesn't matter who's going to take it, because anyway, it ends up in rich people's pocket. But I don't care about that. What I care is the inflation that it will create, the amount of the debts that it will create. It's huge, because we will face a lot of expenses, a lot of inflations coming to our lives. And basically, if I want to make it very, very, I can say, if I want to make it, I wanted to say Frank, but that's your name. So if I want to make, if I want to say it really simply, if I want to put it so simple, you know, Americans are playing it very small. What they do when they print money, when they print the US dollar, they don't keep it in the country. It means they basically transfer the inflation to other countries. They send it to Korea, they send it to China, they send it to other countries. I don't want to be politic, but they're actually sending their inflation out of the country. And that's why basically they get mad if a country comes up and says, okay, we don't want to use US dollar. Look at Iran. Iran being under sanction because of not using US dollar anymore on trade. Look at China, look at Russia. America has issues with these. I'm not trying to be political, but this is basically basic economy. So they try to push this inflation outside of the country as much as possible. They're trying to keep it in Far East. They're not trying to, and soon after, I'm not gonna say crypto will be a mass adoption or anything. That's basically already happening. So let's not talk about that. But after crypto takes over, or any sort of system that is basically has the capability to takes the place of banking system, then all these pigeons gonna come back. All the US dollars that they sent out, they're gonna fly back to home, because no other country will basically accept it. No other country will basically use it for trading. And once they come back, then the economy would be bankrupted. Look at it in this way. And now let's put the characteristics on Bitcoin, for instance. So I'm using Bitcoin because that's the most well known in here, and everybody knows it. So we're not going to go through technicalities of other coins, other cryptos. So when we talk about Bitcoin, Bitcoin is going to be accepted. Basically, now wherever you go, you can use Bitcoin. That's very easy. We are sitting in Dubai, in UAE, and you can exchange your BTC anytime you want. Second thing, you can use it to buy goods. Now, if you just check stores that accept Bitcoin online, you can find many stores that are basically makes you able to make any sort of payments. And last of all, is it limited? Yes, only 21 million pieces, only 21 million units. So we only have 21 million units of Bitcoin. So this will actually kill the inflation. This is actually what we are very, very, very happy with, because this circulation will never gonna grow. 21 million will never be 21.1. It's not gonna grow. It's not gonna be more than that. And that's the interesting part. So we will not have inflation on Bitcoin. So if you're keeping Bitcoin, if you're keeping your assets in Bitcoin, it is gradually gonna go high. I'm not talking about price. I'm not converting Bitcoin to US dollar. That's actually what the market is looking at. So that's not how you should see. One Bitcoin is always one Bitcoin. And the difference is basically, if we want to convert it to USD, it's going to go higher. We can see that it's at one day it's 1 million. But let me ask you this: will you be selling your one BTC for $1 million when nobody accepts dollars anymore? Will it worth? No, you will rather keep your Bitcoin. And looking at it in another way, we are looking.
Okay,
yes, Frank.
Just to make an input there. You know, we are heading into a future where people would have to spend their crypto directly, right? And
exactly.
So just to put it in perspective, what he's trying to explain is that, you know, in the future, it's not going to be about one Bitcoin is $500,000, one Bitcoin is $50,000. All those things are not going to be the situation. The situation is that you have to spend your cryptocurrencies in maybe Satoshi. It's going to be calculated in Satoshis, definitely. So
Exactly.
0.01, whatever. And remember, we are simply using Bitcoin to do this, because everybody understands Bitcoin, everybody know about Bitcoin, but there are going to be other cryptocurrencies. But then let's talk about those other ones. What would be the place, or what do you think would be the place of other cryptocurrencies in the near future?
And that's also a good question. You see, now we have over, I don't know the exact number, but let's talk roughly. We have nearly 12,000 alternative coins, altcoins.
Yeah.
So each one of them came into the market with an idea.
Yeah.
If I want to be really open about this, if I want to tell you my honest opinion and what we believe it's going to happen, is basically 90 to 95% of these coins are going to die eventually. And it's not going to be that far. It's not going to be within the next 5 years. It's going to happen within maybe the next 6 months or a year maximum. So, but because in here now at the moment, there is this possibility to create something, to basically create value, but there is no, if there is nothing inside, you might create some value, but after a while, this value will be gone. Let me give you an example. The idea of meme tokens. The idea of meme is not to make you rich, is to make the owner rich. And that's an issue that people fall into meme token categories now. And they think if a coin with with a lot of zeros, with 12 zeros is out, then it's definitely going to make me rich. I saw a friend of mine who was talking to me about one of these coins. I don't like to call it shitcoin. Let's talk it meme tokens. I don't like the term. So let's go by meme tokens. So a friend of mine was just talking about meme token. And he told me, yes, look at this. If it goes up to a cent, then I would be a millionaire. And I did a bit of calculation for him. I did a bit of calculation for him. I told him, okay, let's say you have nearly 1 trillion of this token. And let's say you are right, you're correct, and this will reach to 1 cent. Let's put it that way, as simple as that. What's going to happen is when it reaches to that stage, the amount of money that is inside of the crypto industry, inside of the whole crypto industry, is about $2 trillion. That's actually the capacity right now, the market cap. Now you're talking about the total capacity of 12,000 coins coming into only one coin for you to be a millionaire. Will that be possible? And the response was funny, but we hold.
Okay.
Yes. So meme tokens basically are a simple idea for someone who's using the misknowledge or the absence of information in this market. If you want to do anything in this market, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying you won't get any profits. You might, but do it with cautious. Don't put all your life into it. If your asset is $100,000, put $200 into it. Put something that you can afford to lose. If you have something that you can afford not to lose, keep it in Bitcoin, keep it in Ethereum, keep it in something that basically grows more steady, not something that is just nothing.
Yeah, exactly. So in the near future, we are going to see most altcoins or meme tokens phase off. Not necessarily they are going to maybe die off, but their relevance is going to go to zero, and those who want to hold them for the utility they offer would eventually have to hold them for the utilities they offer. But in the name of, holding it for, in competition with Bitcoin, is all those things are going to be over. In the last 1 year, we've seen some level of adoption and level of battle and fight against Bitcoin. What's your take on that? Now, remember, this session is not, we are not talking about Bitcoin and coins and all that. Remember, we are talking about rethinking the concept of money. So we're going to still bring everything back to how all these things connects and comes together. So what's your take on that? China says Bitcoin is bad. US says this other one. What do you think would be the outcome of all this?
All right. If we want to talk about the concept, if you want to talk about what's gonna be the future like, and what's gonna bring to us, that's totally depends on people. That's not depends on any sort of governments. Governments can only do two things: either ban it or accept it. So the further they stop accepting it, the further consequences will come to it. Okay, and there are a lot of different scenarios, a lot of different perspectives. But if I want to be really open, nobody can ban Bitcoin. Now there are basically applications that you can transfer Bitcoin through satellites. You don't need you don't need internet connection any longer. So now you can just transfer.
Are you talking about this Tesla's?
No. I'm not talking about that. That's actually basically internet. You don't need a connection anymore. You can basically transfer Bitcoin through satellite, and with SMS or with just normal SMS. That's possible. Okay, so if a country wants to do that, that's almost impossible anymore. Okay, and it has reached to a level of acceptance that you cannot ignore it anymore. You cannot say that this is I cannot see it, or I can ban it, or I can stop it. No, there is no possibility to ban Bitcoin anymore. Gone, finish. It is with people. That's one thing. Number two is some countries might accept it, like El Salvador did accept Bitcoin as their own currency. It happened just a few weeks ago, and it's gonna be having two different scenarios then. One is if people accept the fact, or if they don't accept the fact, because let's face it, now we are seeing a wave into cryptocurrency. But if I'm not wrong, nearly only 5% of the world's population are now using Bitcoin. The rest are not. They are not even familiar with how to use it. So you might see these sort of people. So definitely they won't be happy with such thing. I remember when debit cards came along, and banks started issuing debit cards. This wasn't long time ago. This was about in my country was about 20 years ago, nearly. ATM machines started, and banks started giving out ATM cards. So my grandfather used to withdraw a certain amount of money on a daily basis, which was his limit, in order to not keep it into the card, because he believed the money is in the card. He didn't know that it is connected to an account. And it was a question for me for a few days. Then I asked him, why are you doing this every day? Why are you withdrawing this money every single day? What is happening? Like, what's the deal? And he told me, if I lose this card, what's gonna happen? Okay. So now imagine we are seeing a lot of people that basically are not familiar with this concept, and it's not user friendly to them. They are scared of this word. They are scared of this technology. Now they want to come into this technology. They want to use it. They will be really offensive to it. They might really stay out of it. They might be afraid, which is possible.
Yeah. Okay. So, but of course, there are platforms that are built to make these things easy and as simple as possible for any kind of person to use. And that is it. All right. So
I love to see applications which are making everything simplified, because you see at the moment simplification in this industry is a bit difficult. Simplification is already something out of hand for now. So if any app makes everything simple, that's basically, I would clap for them. Okay, I love that too. I mean, my main concern is to keep things in that way. So I see one caption in here. Somebody wrote something in the chat box, says trade meme token with cautious. So basically trading is a very, very volatile and high risk industry. And I'm sure Frank is an amazing trader. I know he's doing great in trading. And if you guys are learning from him, good for you. You need to keep up asking for help from someone who knows what they are doing and who's very familiar with this with this industry. So meme tokens are basically not, I cannot say they are risky or you can trade them with caution. You are basically, you're doing pure gamble that the chances on you are basically lower to win. Okay, so there is not only caution, it's also the word gamble. You need to be careful because sometimes they do rock pulls, sometimes you lose the money because it just goes out of blue. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, you were talking, Frank. I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us back to the concept of money, rethinking the concept of money. I remember last year, somewhere around March last year, there was this new concept. Like it has always been, every season there's a new concept in the crypto industry, and the new concept that just popped up and was all over the place was DeFi, decentralized finance, right? So let's talk DeFi versus CeFi. What's your take?
Okay, my major interest and my major expertise is DeFi. So that's where I actually stand, and that's where I'm fighting. Okay. So we have our own type of battles, right? Okay. So what is DeFi? What is CeFi?
Yeah.
So centralized finance is basically a presence of a third party. So anytime that you have a third party involved to provide you with services, you're basically using a CeFi system. Banking is actually a centralized finance. It's CeFi. I can say exchanges mostly that we are using are CeFi platforms, because let's talk about Binance. Let's talk about, I'm not saying it's bad. Don't take me wrong. I just mean that there is a definition for these. So they are centralized. It means somebody else is in control. Somebody else is basically taking control of your money. You can lose it at any time. They can be hacked. They can be trustworthy or not. We don't know. It is centralized. It means it's their own hand. You cannot control it. Okay. You can only see numbers in your platform. But what is DeFi is, DeFi brings a totally different concept and a totally different mentality over CeFi. In DeFi ecosystem, we are basically bringing down all sort of services from CeFi, and we are making it decentralized. For example, if I want to give you an example which makes everything simple, if you want to understand DeFi, the first concept you need to understand is a smart contracts, because in DeFi ecosystem, you don't have any third party to control your money, to control your accounting, to control the execution of an order, or to buy, sell, lend, or do whatever. Okay. That's why in DeFi, you need to, first of all, understand that you are the one who's taking care of your asset. And after that, you are basically the one who's controlling it. So there's nobody. And third thing, if there is any execution, a smart contract is doing it. And opposite of its name, which we say, unlike its name, which is a smart contract, it's not smart at all. So the true meaning of Oracle, which is our dear friend Frank, the true meaning of Oracle is basically in blockchain is basically a third party that provides data to a smart contract. So what is a smart contract? A smart contract is basically a bunch of codes that will execute. It will execute an order when a certain situation is met, or a certain condition is met. For example, let's say we make a deal. If I bring you for example, let's say I'm studying in a school, and if I bring you grade A, you will give me a reward. And if I don't bring A, you need your money back. As simple as that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the issue is, we as when we were kids, we might have had this skill, or we might have this promise from our parents that if you bring this, for example, grade A, I will give you this much of money. But it never went through. We might never received it. Sometimes it happens to us, right? It happened to me. My dad promised something, that happened sometimes only. No problems, actually. I'm just saying that what happened. So a smart contract is totally different. Let's say I put my money in, and I would give you a promise that if you bring grade A, this money would be released to you. It's not in my control. You just need to prove to this smart contract that your grade is A. How do you prove it? That's the Oracle's job. That's what Oracle does. They provide the data to the smart contract, and the smart contract will release the reward. And in the other hand, if I don't bring it, if my grade is B, then the money would be returned back to Frank. So that's basically how it works. As simple as that. Don't make it complicated for yourself. So let's put it into trades. Let's put it into, let's say I want to buy, I want to turn my Ethereum to USDT, for example. So if I go on the DEX, I don't need to have an account there. I don't need to do KYC. I don't even need to provide my information. They don't even know who I am. They only have one wallet address for me. My wallet gets connected, and once my wallet is connected to this protocol, I can exchange any amount of money or any amount of Ethereum into any sort of other asset. Let's say Ethereum to USDT. So a smart contract will get information from the Oracle. How much is the price of Ethereum? They will actually calculate it, and the trade will be executed. As simple as that.
So DeFi puts the power in your hands. You are in charge. You are in control, right? And there are things that are, of course, when we talk about the concept of money, everything we know as a current concept of money revolves around the centralized, system of finance, which is DeFi, which includes savings. You take your money to the bank, and they save it in their vault, and that is it. Loan. You go to the bank and you request for a loan. They'll ask you for collateral. They'll ask you for guarantor. They'll ask you for a lot of things, right? And then if you meet all those demands, then they give you the loan, and they charge you heavy interest on those loans. Then you invest with the bank or any financial institution, CFI, and they give you interest. Currently in Nigeria, you get negative interest annually. In some cases, you get like 2%.
Seriously? That's bad.
Yeah, so you get like 2%, 3%, in the whole year. And in the US, the maximum you get is 7%, which I'm aware of. And in some countries, in some cases, you don't get anything more than 5% to 15% and all. Okay, and let's talk about insurance. Also in CFI, decentralized institutions offer you insurance services, and in some cases, even when you qualify for the insurance kickback, you don't get it, because there is no smart contract in between. They can decide not to do these things for you. So in the DeFi ecosystem, which is a new concept of money, there is also an ecosystem that takes care of all these things, which is embedded in the DeFi stuff. You talk about yield farming, you talk about lending, you talk about staking, you talk about all those things. Can you share some light on it so that we can wrap it up on that?
Very good. So if you're talking in particular about, let's say, lending protocols, let's say I want to get a loan. I want to get a loan of, let's say, $10,000. Okay, just for instance. Okay, so if I want to get in any sort of system, you need collateral. You need to put either your house document or anything that proves that you have sources of this money that you can pay back, in order that you will not be able to do that. Okay, so one thing which is very obvious in the same concept in the DeFi ecosystem, we have exactly the same system. We need collateral. Okay, we definitely need that. But if I want to get a loan from let's say a CFI platform, let's talk about an exchange. When I want to get something from an exchange, I need to basically put a collateral, and then I can get an amount of equivalent to 60-70%. But the amounts of returns are quite high, are quite huge. So interests are big. Interests are basically, like, if I want to get it from Binance, it's about, let's say, 10%, 20%. But if you want to get it on DeFi, the interests are basically fluctuating. So it means that if you want to bring it to let's say $10,000 worth of USDT, then you have to go through 4%, 3% fluctuation rate, or sometimes if the demand is too high, then it will be up to 15%, 20%, just roughly for maybe days, not for the whole year. So 14, 15% is not going to be always there. So what I've came across is normally 4 or 5% on a yearly basis for a loan. But how do we get it? Let's say I have, first of all, why do I need it and how to get it? Let's say I have 1 Bitcoin and I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. I want to keep my Bitcoin as in my custody. I don't want to basically lose it. In the same way, I want to do trading. I want to use this money to go into trading. And I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. In the same way, I want to trade and I don't have any sparing money. I don't have anything more. So what you can do, there are a bunch of DeFi lending protocols that you can put your money in. You can put your 1 BTC in. And if current price is, let's say, $50,000, you can get a loan of up to $40,000. But that's quite risky. So I suggest to go somewhere between 50% to maximum 55% of your assets. So let's talk about 50%. If I'm having $50,000 worth of Bitcoin in one protocol, I can basically get a loan of $25,000, which basically is a good amount of money to make my trades safe, okay? And that $50,000 will stay there, will sit there until I return back the amount of money that I've got from the platform. Then I can basically withdraw my Bitcoin. Frank, are you there? Guys, can anyone hear me? Because I don't have Frank. I think I lost Frank. Anyone here can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. Yes, got it. We lost Frank.
We can hear you.
For a moment. Frank, we lost you for a moment. Oh, okay.
My connection got disconnected. All right.
It's fine. Totally fine.
All right, go ahead. Okay, so
yes. I was explaining how to get a loan, and one part I didn't mention is basically when you are getting a loan, and when you are basically getting a loan, especially from a smart contract, there is one very important rule you need to always take care of. So in order that they don't lose other people's money, because on a smart contract, you are using other people's money. In order for them not to lose other people's money, if, for example, you have 1 Bitcoin in loan, and the Bitcoin price drops, that your money and your collateral exceeds 70%, then the smart contract automatically liquidates your 1 Bitcoin, and you will no longer have 1 Bitcoin. You will only receive the rest of the money. So that's why you need to be very careful to put a 20% ratio of fluctuation, that if Bitcoin falls like 10%, you won't get liquidated. That's very important.
Awesome. So this is DeFi, and it's a full ecosystem that offers you everything that you still experience in the CeFi system, but this time around you're in full control and you have much more benefits to it. So this means that, in the new concept of money, we're actually not losing out on anything. The only thing is the approach and the fact that it's more of digital, and that is it. So in the next couple of years, what do you see? Let's say in the next in a sentence, because we have just 4 minutes to go to attend to questions. In a sentence, what do you think money will look like globally? Just in a sentence.
You see, if I'm not gonna say what's gonna happen in the next 1 or 2 years, okay? Because obviously, all of us, we have this sort of faith that crypto will take over. We're gonna be to the moon and blah 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 blah. I don't want to go through this.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is, look at how far we have came. I'm not talking about crypto. I'm talking specifically about traditional model. I'm talking about banking system. Look how far they reached, and they were not people. They were not. When I say they were not people, I mean they were not everybody. They were just a very small portion of people that made it this far. So imagine if we're talking about something open source, we're talking about something transparent, we're talking about something that everybody, if has any idea, can develop it on this surface. So imagine how would it be? And let me tell you this, our world is shifting. Either you believe it or you don't believe it. If you trust me or you don't, our world is shifting. So in a basic manner, if our world is shifting from a shape to another shape, the first thing that is changing is the way of asset, the way of value, the way of transferring value, the way of transforming all these sorts of implementations. So for example, if you're talking about value, the first thing that's going to change is ownership. Now look at NFT, for example. NFT is bringing something else into our lives. NFT is bringing ownership into our lives. Don't look at it that sometimes you look at an artwork and you talk to yourself, who will buy this? For God's sake, like, what's the deal with these sort of NFTs that people are buying and you don't even understand it, which I understand. Most of them are basically rubbish. Most of the things that we are seeing in NFT nowadays, they are not artworks, but it is an open world. You can put anything out there if you want to. But look at it in a bigger picture. Imagine if you have your properties on blockchain. Imagine if you have ownership of your car on blockchain. Imagine if you have any sort of ownership document on blockchain. NFT is basically the first way to look at it. NFT is a very small part of this artwork, but artwork is basically the start. This is the start of ownership. And ownership has bigger pictures, has property, has gold, has any sort of assets that you can think of.
Exactly. So this is where we call it a day to day, and it's been an hour of learning from the start till now. We've pointed out a lot of things, and the topic for today was rethinking the concept of money. Understanding that money is not what it used to be. Money is not fiat. It's not money is not the whole banking thing that you're aware of. Money is value, and the fact that cryptocurrencies, DeFi, blockchain is here, we are going to see a new form of money. It may not happen in the next 1 year where everybody gets used to these things, because it has to take some time, right? Imagine like in the last 20 years was the first time ATM cards and banking system, and POS was introduced in the Reza's country, and his dad was skeptical about keeping his money in his ATM card. He was literally withdrawing every day, stressing himself. And fast forward 20 years later, a kid of 5 years understands what an ATM card is and how to use it. In the next 5 years, 10 years, this is how it is going to be. It may not look like it, but in the next 5 years, you'll look back and you'll be surprised on how far the world has gotten so used to this concept of money. And if you are in grind domain and you are part of this session, your eye have just been opened to this, and you have to keep learning, keep researching, keep joining our sessions, keep updating yourself so that you don't miss out. I don't think there are questions. I think it was super straightforward. So we do appreciate you, Reza, and we look forward to having you.
Thank you very much
in this session.
I want to say congrats to all the guys that are basically learning from you. We've been talking here and there, and I've also seen the amount of knowledge that you're having, and it's great to have, these days, having a mentor or having somebody that can help you through these new evolving technologies. Having someone has no price. You cannot put a price tag on it. So if you have it, if you have someone out there for you to have an eye on you, and if you have any question you go back to, then you're so lucky. And I want to say that everybody's in here so lucky to have you, and I wish you a very blessed day, night, and whatever it is, wherever it is. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for the invitation, Frank.
You too. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. See you on the second Monday of November. We're going to have something amazing coming. See you guys, and have a lovely day ahead.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
How to save on Boundless Pay. Step 1. Log into your app. Click on My Savings. Choose your preferred savings plan. State purpose for saving. Then choose your savings method. Type an amount to start how much you would like to save. Choose a preferred date for investment and withdrawal, and click on Submit. Your BPay savings is activated.